Good morning, soccer fans. Welcome to the UWS Kickoff Show, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. Wow, I hit a note there, didn't I? Good morning to everyone. Glad everybody could join us this weekend as we get ready for UWS playoff soccer during the summer of soccer in UWS. And we are excited today to talk a little bit about this past week's playoff matches, implications, and what we've got in store for you today as it relates to some work down in Texas that's going to take place. Eastern Conference and Midwest. It's going to be a good one. Good morning to my co-hosts, Megan, Danny, and Katie. Good morning. How are you guys?
Morning. Yeah, feeling good. Ready to talk some soccer. Big weekend for Unity. Final 2 games in the UWS 2. And I mean, we had some great games last night, so totally fired up, ready to talk soccer.
Same here. I'm currently in Dallas, or in Mansfield, Texas at the moment. That's south of Dallas and Fort Worth, kind of in between the two and south. And I'm here with the whole Athenians team, and we're getting ready to take on Austin FC later today. So fingers crossed.
And that's going to be a heck of a match. As anyone watching this knows, UWS is at its peak right now. So much exciting soccer. So many close games with the best teams left in the entire country. And we knew it was going to come down to this. We knew we were going to have some exciting and some juicy matchups, but now they're here and we can be excited about them. There's exciting soccer going on all across the country. The UWS is at the center of it, and we're at the center of getting to talk to you guys about it. So couldn't ask for a better place to be this Saturday morning.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this past week. It was straight pandemonium. I think it was the what did we say it was? It was the Midwest, the massacre in the Midwest is what I came up with, is because, or madness in the Midwest, because, hey, look, Chicago Mustangs, the team that I and Danny both were riding really high, thinking that this was the team to beat. Guess what? St. Louis Scott Gallagher goes up to Chicago, and not only did they travel up to go to play, they come out with a 2-0 result. What were your guys' thoughts on that?
I was surprised for sure as well, but you know, it's like, it's anyone's game nowadays. And that's the hard thing about these conferences, especially when there are so many teams, like, you know, getting chances to really play everybody and all of that. So it's, oh God, there's already my teammates coming down here being crazy. So people might pop in, just so you guys know. That's kind of the nature of the business. It's actually the coaching staff over here. But anyway, so yeah, I think that I've just lost my train of thought, but I think that it definitely caught me off guard. But like I said, it can be anybody's game, and especially now that we're in the playoffs, it really is. It's like a fresh start. So I think that's the most exciting part for me, is it doesn't really matter what you did in the season now. If you made it to playoffs, it's anyone's game. So
yeah. When we look at St. Louis Scott Gallagher, for me, we kind of had that conversation of should they be in the power rankings? I think it was a couple of weeks back, and Katie and I, we were both like, maybe they still have a bit more to prove. Well, right. You know, they proved it, because right. You know, they came out, and in the Central Conference, we've seen them. I think they lost to KC Courage back at the beginning of the season. They also tied, I think it was with Gretna. So, you know, maybe this Central Conference, we didn't give them enough credit, and you've got some really, really top teams in there that when they go out of conference, they're ready to compete. So that, you know, maybe they should have been in the power rankings. And I'm so glad that we were proved wrong, because I love when a team comes out and gives us an upset. And let's just talk about the goals as well in that game, because they were #quality bangers. You know it, Mom. You were watching me.
Yeah. Yes, they were bangers.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, that's what, you know, we followed the league all season to see, is a match like that. Like Megan said, surprised us a little bit. You both are exactly right. I mean, it's one of those unique dynamics of summer soccer in the U.S. because of travel reasons. Nobody really plays each other out of conference, unless you want to count, you know, the different Midwest divisions. But that's kind of a different sphere. We don't see any interconference play until the national playoffs, when the best teams face each other. And then we really get a sense of, oh, maybe this conference was a lot stronger than we realized. And it just didn't look like it, because of the teams they were playing were also strong. So we're learning a lot of question marks that we've had all season long are finally starting to be answered now that the season's over, which is just kind of the way that it works in a league like this. But it's so much fun, and it's a fun puzzle to uncover.
Well, let's talk about that puzzle a little bit. So we got Chicago Mustangs, a team that was highly ranked, number one for quite some time in the power rankings, goes down to St. Louis Scott Gallagher. But the other matchup that came out of that playoff conference, Midwest United, the team that everybody that we've said, hey, this is the most consistent team, plays Corktown, and they draw. They go to penalty kicks where eventually Midwest United is able to come out victorious. What were your guys' thoughts on that particular matchup? Because for me, not only was I surprised that Corktown was able to, create the result to get to extra time, but to be able to get to penalty kicks, from a side that has been very dominant all year, it does kind of show you the second season is legit. And we'll talk a little bit more as we talk about the Eastern Conference. But what were your guys' thoughts on that?
I just remember going all the way back to week one and thinking about, this was a conference that we had highlighted at the very beginning that, there was Midwest and there was Lansing and there was Corktown. And I mean, they were supposed to be, this trio that was just going to be really, really fascinating to watch because, they were all three really capable of going and winning the entire national title. And I think Corktown kind of got the short end of the stick among those three. And we're kind of seen as more of an afterthought. I mean, Midwest obviously proved that they were the stronger of that trio in the regular season. But I mean, I think we always, had an idea that Corktown was going to continue to fight and be in that conversation. At least I felt like that was a team that could certainly pull an upset. They just have so much experience. Their coaching staff, we've talked to before, they know what they're doing. And they've got a side that's ready to challenge anybody. So it didn't surprise me particularly. But I mean, it's obviously one of those situations where Midwest is really hard to beat. So those were two really quality teams going at it. And Corktown, I think, proved that they're always going to be a threat.
Good morning, Coach. I know you're probably across from Katie, but good morning. So if you think about it, Megan, 4-2 results during the regular season, Midwest United and Corktown. Was this an indication of Corktown playing up to potential or finding out how to kind of find some holes to attack? Or was this just a case that maybe Midwest United is potentially running out of gas?
I feel like, we spoke about it a little bit on Our Cup of Tea. Our co-host Harley, she was like, I'm back in Corktown. I think they've slipped under the radar. And I kind of agree. I think Danny kind of touched on it a little bit, that maybe we didn't kind of give them as much credit as they kind of deserve. They have been pretty consistent throughout this season. And yeah, I do think that they can compete with Midwest. They had that experience of playing them in this regular season. So now they can they took that. And I think you can see based on the scoreline, 0-0 at halftime. They must have worked on stuff and they must have said, like, this is how we're going to do it. If we follow the game plan, we can come out with a win. And they were so agonizingly close to doing that. They even went up in extra time, almost had it until Midwest pulled one back. So, I mean, wow, I wish I was a fly on the wall at the halftime conversations there because that would have been insane. But yeah, I think that both teams were up for it. I think Corktown probably approached it with a little bit more of a tactical kind of side to it of how are we going to do this? Whereas Midwest probably went out and played, their own game that has been so strong all year. And so when we see these tactical battles, it's just so much fun for fans to watch and it produced a quality game.
Absolutely. It's one of those things, like I wanted to say, are they the dark horse? But I don't know. I think they did just slip under the radar. And I wonder if it's just because of how the league is structured and who we're playing and when, it is kind of weird sometimes and it is dependent on the league. But yeah, Harley was the first one to identify that. She's the first person that I heard, I'm watching Corktown. Like, I think they might be up to something. So it's sad to see because it was such a close call, but Midwest, like, they've been really consistent. They've just been consistently producing and they are the team that has been on my radar this whole time. And I feel like they're the ones that, if you make it to nationals, I feel like they're going to be one of the teams in the national playoffs. So yeah,
well,
that's my bet.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, to see these two teams go back and forth, it will be interesting to see St. Louis Scott Gallagher, that game tomorrow with a location to be decided at this point, but hopefully we'll meet in the middle to kind of offset some travel costs, have a neutral venue. But we'll see. The other side of the spectrum was the Eastern Conference, and Danny's FC Buffalo narrowly escaping in the semifinal against Lancaster Lancaster Inferno 3-2. Danny, take us away on some FC Buffalo news, man.
Hey, I would much rather you call it a dominant 3-2 victory over Lancaster Inferno. I mean, and this is I was watching them kind of interact on Twitter after the game, and I mean, both Twitter admins were kind of stating the obvious of how quality a match that was. I think both teams have a lot of respect for each other, as they should, and I think we all know how strong and well-rounded that Eastern Conference is. There's really not a bottom of that conference. It's kind of dragging along. That was an Eastern Conference. It was enormous. And usually when we get really big divisions like that, there's a tendency for those, bottom 3, bottom 4, bottom half even to just kind of really be at a lower level of quality. And you can see this gulf in points. And that just wasn't there. The Eastern Conference was really well-rounded, and I was really pleased all the way around all season long with how much competition there was. So that's one of those divisions where literally anybody could have come out of there and really made a run and represented that conference in the Nationals. So it was really cool to see Buffalo grab that win. I think they knew exactly what we all did, which was anybody can come out of that and win. And I mean, Lancaster Inferno is not anybody by any stretch. They're a real quality team themselves. So I think Buffalo did a good job. I think they knew it was ahead of them. They scored enough goals to move themselves through, and sometimes that's what you've got to do.
I kind of put this match up there. If anybody remembers the 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup, the opening match with the Houston Dash and the Utah Royals, I kind of put that match on par with this FC Buffalo Lancaster Inferno match because I thought that we would see a 3-3. Let's score a late goal and call it a day to go to extra time, and somebody was going to pull it out, but I was wrong. But this match had a feel for it that, hey, Lancaster Inferno did not start off on the right foot. They started off on the wrong side of some results early, but were able to get in. Yes, there was some things that shook up to get them in, but they deserved it, and they showed that they deserve to have a playoff berth. Makes me wonder if maybe next year they split the conference in half, as Danny had talked about early on. I think week 9 you'd said that, but we'll see. I think that will be something of interest. Megan, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game. Lancaster have kind of underperformed a little bit by the expectation that we had based on their previous runnings. We saw them runner-up back in 2018. But, they came out in this match and they proved exactly why they deserve to be there. A playoff game is a game that you want to see two teams go at it. You don't want to see one team just put them away and, be chilling. You want to see two teams putting goals in, giving each other a total run for their money, and that is what this game brought out. I was watching out for Charisma Catrona. She's played so well all season, and she came out with a huge assist for that last goal, and that goal was crazy good too. I loved hearing the commentator's voice crack because he was so excited. It was just an excellent game all around.
As you're saying that, I'm getting a text message from Mr. Mark Ford of that goal, and he says this guy's a keeper. Whoever's doing this game is a keeper. So shout out to Mark. I got you. I got that text. We're good. Katie, what were your thoughts?
Unfortunately, I didn't really have a lot of time to actually watch the game or see anything that happened.
You were stuck in rodeo traffic.
Yes, I was stuck in rodeo traffic. We're out here in Texas, and if anybody who's ever been to Texas has driven from the south up to the north in Dallas, most people take 35, but traffic is terrible on 35. There's always like 500 accidents, which just makes the trip go from like a 4-hour trip to an 8-hour trip. So anyways, we took the back roads and we hit a traffic jam because of a rodeo. No joke, like a legit rodeo. If you go to my Instagram stories, I have proof. Anyway, yeah, so we were stuck in the car for quite a bit. Didn't get a chance to really review that game that much, but I know they're two really good teams, and I know that we had talked about this in the past. We were expecting them to really go head to head to do well, and so at this point, when we're in the playoffs, people are in the playoffs for a reason. So you're going to see a lot of these really close calls. Like a blowout is not super common. Yeah, so it's going to be good soccer no matter what. No matter who's playing, it's going to be good soccer.
The other matchup that came out of this was Syracuse and the Fusion. Now, the Fusion, again, another one of those clubs that started off on the wrong foot. It seemed like they were pulling out draws. We didn't really talk about them very much. They did make the power rankings for the initial power rankings that were 10, but kind of fell off the map there. But CT Fusion finds a way to get a 2-0 win over Syracuse, who was the higher seed. So 2 versus 3, 3 walks away. So they get to play Buffalo. I did not get to see very much of this matchup. I was trying to recover from everything else going on in MCL world. But, for the most part, seems like a great match, some quality goals, quality play on the CT Fusion's part of things. Megan, what did you take away from the CT Fusion match?
Yeah, so heading into this game, I was kind of leaning towards Syracuse taking it. They were just in such great form, winning 4 straight matches leading up to this. So I was kind of thinking it's going to be a close one, but I thought maybe Syracuse would be the ones to take it. But, you can't doubt Connecticut Fusion. They have come out and they can grind out results. Tiffany Weimer has been up for goal of the week multiple times. And, that's because they have good attacking ability and they put it away with 2 goals in that match. So, yeah, I think Fusion versus Buffalo is going to be super exciting.
Totally. You mentioned Tiffany Weimer, but also Casey Lawrence is another high scorer. But what I find interesting about the CT Fusion is they have 9 players with points on the board, which, also kind of tells us it's not just 1 or 2 players you got to watch. It's like half the team. It's almost the whole starting 11 that can put it in the net. So that's a sign of a really good team. Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Danny, what were your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, from a Buffalo perspective, what's interesting is, Megan was talking about how Fusion's a team that just grinds results out. That's what they do. That's how they've earned the points that they've earned. And that's kind of how you have to earn points in a conference like the East was. So, I mean, what's interesting is that's kind of what Buffalo's done all season as well. That's what I've been really high on them for, is getting those 1-0 wins, those 2-1 wins. That's it. They've just been kind of methodical in that way. And so we're going to see 2 teams face each other who really are smart in the way that they, that's just, they're similar styles. They've won games with similar margins, and it's just going to be such fine margins. It's just, there are those little moments of misfortune or, a moment of brilliance, a good run, a beautiful shot. We're going to see something, whether it's good or bad, that just tips the balance in one direction. And that's going to decide this match. I really don't see a whole lot in this one. 2 quality teams and 2 teams that know how to win. So we're just going to see who puts up that moment of brilliance or who's unfortunate enough to have that mistake that cost them. It's going to be one of those games, I think. It's going to be a blast to keep track of.
Is Buffalo kind of dabbing its eyebrow from sweat, thinking that they would have to have played Syracuse again, who just beat them back on the 6th 1-0?
I don't think so. And the reason why is because they've struggled against, and they've beaten a lot of the teams that aren't Syracuse, but at the same time, they especially in these last, 4 or 5 matches, they've had a couple draws. They've lost. They've struggled against, more than one team in the East. And I think they realize this is not a division where you can look at the 2 seed and say, oh, that's a much tougher challenge than the 3 seed or than even the 5 or the 6 or whatever seed. This is a Fusion side that I think is to the people in the East who have watched them play all season. They know that's a quality team. I think that sweat stays on the brow for now.
I think the main thing that comes to my mind is that you have Buffalo who lost 1-0 and then won 1-0 to Syracuse. Now you get a different feeling because CT Fusion has had tough games against Syracuse. What does this matchup bring, Megan? What is the difference? Do you look at scores from previous matches? Do you try to go back and see what they've done against opponents like Syracuse to kind of get a gauge, I could say, for what you're expecting?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, it's a little bit like what Katie said, it's playoffs now. So you can almost say it doesn't matter what happened in those previous matches. This is the time that we have to go out and we have to win. We don't have another option. So forget about the past and let's focus on what we're going to try and do. At the same time, I would probably expect, coaches to go back and watch that film. Maybe individual players want to do it on their own time. That's fine too. But I would say, from my experience, coaches should go back, watch film, work out, what went wrong, what went well, how can we use that in this playoff match. But when you're speaking to the girls, you don't want to kind of focus on what happened in the past. I think it's more about hyping them up and, focusing on the details that they can control. And in this kind of a match, it's a must-win game. So it's all about getting everybody ready. And you don't want to focus on, this detail, that detail too much, because there's one thing at stake, and that's getting the W.
Katie, what are your thoughts on this? I know as a player, it's difficult, right? Because you try not to look at results. You just play with what cards you're dealt, and you'll figure it out as you go. What are your thoughts on this FC Buffalo CT Fusion matchup coming up tomorrow at Coyer Field?
Yeah, so I took a look at it actually, and I was just looking at, the scores again, the actual goals scored against different teams, and like if there was a certain team that they can, if they had the opportunity to put it away in the net, were they doing that? How were they showing up against the harder teams? And honestly, it's really evenly matched. It's really close. And yeah, FC Buffalo lost to Syracuse in the beginning, but then they came back later in the season and beat them. It was really close though. And so, CT Fusion tied Syracuse. But it's one of those things where it's so close that it was actually really hard for me to tell. So I did a really, just deep dive. I was looking into player stats. I'm like, okay, if I had to just base this off of statistics alone, I'm feeling CT Fusion. But again, like Megan said, it's anybody's game. All of that's in the past. A lot of it depends on how you show up when you travel. A lot of it depends on who has been able to stick around. It's a summer league, and a lot of these college girls are going home. Not everyone's able to stay. I don't know if they're going to show up with the same squad that they had. So that's my thing is, I guess if I had to put money on it, I would say CT Fusion. But again, that's like, for me, it's not a clear bet, So in that case, I wouldn't. But
I was going to say,
it's really close.
If you're going against FC Buffalo, Liz is not going to like that. Liz Mantel will definitely hit out at us. And the guy to your right is
I was
sitting.
Going to say, I think Danny's about to jump through the screen and beat me up over here.
Danny's about to get that.
I'm like seeing the steam come out.
No, I can't beat anybody up. You would beat me up. Yeah. But I'm a little disappointed, but you're entirely right. I mean, it's one of those matches that's completely 50-50. It's one where you go into Betway or whatever, and you look at whichever one is going to get you more money if you bet on it, and that's what you bet on if you're really feeling, like you want to gamble. But it's just, I mean, it's almost impossible to decide. And you put out a great point that, it's a reality that not a whole lot of people realize, and that I didn't realize until I started working with, a summer league team here in Charlotte, is the players leave. They don't necessarily find themselves bound to, the season rules the same way that a professional team does, because they're not getting paid at the end of the day. They have a responsibility to their college teams that in a lot of ways trumps what their responsibility is to their summer team, which is unfortunate. And I wish it wasn't that way, but for a lot of players, they have really tough decisions to make, and that's how it works out for them. So that's definitely been a problem for us here with the Eagles in Charlotte. And it's something that changes the dynamic of those matchups, because you can have star players leave that really make up a pretty significant portion of where your goals come from, or, the senior leadership on your back line defensively, or, who controls the tempo in your midfield. As we all know, one player can affect the way that your team operates on the pitch, but also off the pitch. So much changes with the loss of even one or two players. So if you're looking at even maybe 4 or 5 who have to leave, and you have to bring players in to replace them, from a practice squad or who haven't seen much time, so much can be volatile with that. So that's a great point, Katie. And I mean, all that to say, no one has any freaking idea. We're going to find out what happens when we watch the match. That's why we watch the games, right?
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
No, go ahead.
I think it's incredibly hilarious that these coaches send their players to go play summer soccer to get better, to get legs under them, to get warmed up and get some extra training. And then they call them back for fitness training. What have you been doing the last few weeks?
And then you miss the part that's actually beneficial, right? Because, and this is a pet peeve of mine, when you, as a college coach, and I haven't been a college coach, but I'm going to talk about them like I have been and like I actually have a perspective on it. It's, I mean, if you're going to bring them back before their opportunity to go compete nationally and have that pressure situation, I would much rather have my player have come off of that competitive situation and come off of being able to earn that thing that they've worked for all summer long, and to come back with that momentum and with that, experience in hand, than an extra week with their team, with their team building activities. They'll figure that out. They've got an entire semester to figure that out. Those are the people that they live with, that they're roommates with, that they're going to have that cohesion. That's going to come over time. You're not going to get that opportunity to play in that national championship again. So, I mean, it's disappointing to me. I agree completely, John.
You're so right about that. And the thing is, like, when you bring someone on your team in college, like, the titles that every single player has becomes that of the team. It's like, oh, well, this player on my team has done this and this and this. And it's like, and we're playing together. It's a collective building of everyone's talent, so why not? You're completely correct. Like, why not let them get a national title or a regional title and then bring that into your own team? And even furthermore, like, what even better reason to try to get the pro league going, and get some, salaries underway. Maybe this wouldn't be as big of an issue. Maybe things wouldn't dissolve towards the end. Maybe we wouldn't see as many inconsistencies with some of these big teams. I would really like to do a deeper dive into that to see, who has lost players to go back to college and who has been able to retain their players, because I know that was even a concern for us. Like, we had to have a lot of conversations, and luckily we have our whole team here today. Thank God on high, but it's not the same for everybody, So yeah, that I think that would justify a deeper dive for me. It's something I definitely want to look into, and I think as far as San Antonio goes, I know we're ready for a professional women's league. The proof was in the numbers. Whenever we played Club America, we had a lot of people show up, and so we're definitely pushing for that. We'd love to see that happen, and I think if we can get the support of the league, things are just going to happen even faster. We have to do it as a joint effort,
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see, especially with the NCAA and the pay-to-play model. That's
right.
How is it going to affect not just UWS but soccer in general? Will we see more girls start to play at the UWS level? Will we see more kind of push towards that and a potential to be paid if sponsorships are given? We'll see. But it's Championship Sunday tomorrow, so little recap on matches. FC Buffalo, CT Fusion, 2 p.m. Eastern, Coyer Field. And then the other matchup at this time that we know of for sure, we have Midwest United, St. Louis Scott Gallagher, 2 great matchups. That's still to be determined in terms of location and time. But let's kind of work our way. Last night was Championship Friday out west. We had 3 teams that had an opportunity, but it seems to me as though the Blue Heat of Santa Clarita are going to be the first team to punch a ticket on the road to Round Rock. Congratulations to the Blue Heat for their win yesterday that put them on 13 points heading into their matchup today or tomorrow against Foothills. It would be a great matchup. But what are your guys' thoughts? Santa Clarita Blue Heat moving on to the road to Round Rock.
Yeah, I think it's deserved. They've done a good job, and it's such a weird Western Conference this year because you had those Canadian clubs who we hadn't seen play all year long, and so that it's a credit to them that they were able to beat the teams around them that were more known entities for them, but then that they were also able to go play Foothills and Impact and be able to beat those Tides too. I guess I haven't played Foothills yet, but I mean to emerge on top of a division like that is really difficult to do. They've shown a lot of quality on pitch, of course, but also a lot of mental fortitude to consistently go out and beat team type of environment. So I'm impressed by them. That's a team that could really pull a St. Louis Scott Gallagher, in my opinion, of kind of a conference that we've maybe looked over a bit because we don't understand it very much. We don't know what's going on over there yet until they really start playing some other teams. So we'll see what happens. But I could I could see them giving anybody that's left a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. I put them in my top 4 way back at the start because they've just got such great club history. You know, every year they're producing high quality players that are going places, that are signing contracts, and they've also got, you know, the young players in their squad that also are making a name for themselves. So they've got such incredible depth. And to beat Impact 3-0, I think it was yesterday, that's a solid win. You know, 3-0 is, you know what you're doing and you can put the goals away. So I'm very excited to see when they are able to step out of that West Conference, them come up against, you know, the likes of St. Louis Scott Gallagher, FC Buffalo, or CT Fusion, whoever it may be. Like, they're going to be able to put out a solid performance. But, you know, once they get into that kind of the conferences that have had more maybe closer games, how do they fare up against those? I think it's going to be extremely interesting for us as fans to watch.
Katie, anything to add?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, what's cool is like they haven't played each other yet. What's also different is that their conference is a little bit smaller. And again, we just don't know a whole lot about them. We know a lot about the Blue Heat because they're really good at providing coverage for themselves. I think that their organization is doing a really good job of, you know, gathering video clips and multi-angle cameras for, you know, like goals scored. I think it's great what their organization is doing, and you can see how that translates on the field. And so they hold themselves as already at a professional standard. So there's of course they're in the finals, but you know, Canadians are they're known for being really good at soccer, and Calgary has come out of the gate really hot. So again, it's one of those, it's anybody's game.
Let's talk a little bit about games today. We've got Side FC, San Antonio Athenians. Look, Side FC has been one of those teams. They've been the roller coaster of Southwest soccer. It seems like they get the results that we expect, but then they go and they don't get the result against the teams they should beat. They beat the teams that they're especially not supposed to beat sometimes, but then they are able to stay tight. You know, Athenians comes to mind, a 2-1 win or 2-1 loss. So they know how to play. And so that's the first matchup today. Again, that matchup takes place at Anderson Stadium, the number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed, 6 p.m. Central Time. Megan, what are your thoughts on this Side FC San Antonio Athenian matchup?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at Side FC's record, they're 5-4-1. Like, that's a very up and down record. That's probably the most up and down record that we've got featuring within the playoffs. But they have proved themselves. It was a really, really close game last time when the Athenians faced them. It was just 2-1. So I'm expecting again, like a very close, intense game. I will back San Antonio. Katie, I'm sure you're very happy about that. I think, you know, the soccer that you guys play is just so beautiful. Like, I love to watch it. Proper team goals, you know, you can see how big they make the field when they're in possession. But yeah, Side FC, they're not going to go down easily. And when they face big teams, that's when they're at their best. So it's going to be a really good matchup.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. You know, we actually came in last night just so that we could really be prepared instead of showing up right off the road, trying to make it work. You know, we decided let's make sure we get our rest, make sure everyone's together, make sure we're doing everything that we need to prepare for the game. We feel confident, but of course, like we said, it's anybody's game. We've only played them once. Anything can happen. And if you're not showing up to win and to go hard, you know, you might as well go home, you know? So it's one game at a time here. So we just have to make sure this happens, make sure we win so that we can at least get another chance at potentially making it into the big arena, you know?
Hey,
You know when you are going home, so you better win, right? It's gonna be a long trip back to the rodeo.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Go fishing, as they say on TNT NBA. You get to go fishing early. Go ahead, Meg. I'm sorry.
Katie, do you know how far our Side FC travel? Let's kind of see.
Hey, come here, Fabio. Come here. Fabio's here. Come here. Let's pull up a chair.
So Side FC's having to go a little bit further. We got Coach Fabio joining us today on the Kickoff Show. Impromptu visit. Fabio, how are you?
Guys,
Here, put this in. Yeah.
We'll get him in on there. Fabio, how are you, my
Can you
friend?
hear him?
I'm doing good, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm doing well. What should we be looking forward today? You got a good matchup against Side FC. You guys have played them. Last time out was a 2-1. What should we expect today from you guys?
Like Kelly was saying, we are respecting a lot this game. We are not thinking about tomorrow. Today's the day. The challenge is to do a good game, to do the job, to play simple, respect, and let's see what we can get.
Danny, Megan, any questions for Coach?
I mean, I was about to launch into this. I think we have Player of the Year coming up next, but this is a team that loves to score goals. I mean, is there a special defensive effort that you think's required today? I mean, Side FC, and this is something on the men's and the women's side that we see from them. This is a team that loves to score, and that's how they beat teams. Is they outgun them. They score more. Is there an element of are you looking at this trying to score more goals than they do and kind of make it a shootout, or are you trying to kind of bolster defensively and beat them that way?
So I understand the game and in a different way of strategy, whatever. So I try to bring a bigger level of concentration to start and feel the game and understand the context. Absorb the spaces we have to play, and I pretty much think this game it's a big game. It's not a common game that the games we have been playing, and for today, I'm trying to give them more confidence to have the ball, take right decisions. I don't have a strategy like we're gonna do this or we're gonna attack crazy or we're gonna go strong. So for today, I'd say start understanding since the first second. Start using the space we have. Like I said, respecting that team, like we respect all teams we played against. But understand the context. I don't have a strategy to say we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Even if I had, I cannot share, right?
No.
Right, yeah. We're just gonna say that we're just gonna play our game. Like we're gonna play our game and go from there.
Megan, anything before we let Coach finish his breakfast and drop some set pieces?
Yeah, I'll let you get back to your whiteboard quickly. But just before you go, what's the atmosphere like in the hotel? What are the vibes you're getting from the girls, and what are you feeling personally as a coach going into your first playoff game with the UWS?
So I'm glad with the company. I'm glad with my director Olivier. He organized everything before today, and we had since yesterday we arrived a good time. Everything are perfect, I can say. So they did a great job. The atmosphere is good. We are in a good vibe, but like we say, the girls we can see that they are connected, they are strong, and they are enjoying the moment. So joy for soccer is everything. Like if you don't have the joy to be together, like traveling together, eating together, playing together. So I think this make us a little bit more strong when we have this kind of joy, this kind of connection. That things happen different at the field. So this is how we are feeling right now. I can say we are strong because we are connected. We are enjoying each other's. Like this is it's a beautiful thing.
Well, it will be interesting to see, Coach. Good luck today. Have fun.
Jonathan, thank you for your attention. Thank you for everything, sir.
Oh, no worries. We'll talk to you soon, Coach.
Bye-bye, guys.
It will be interesting to see, Danny, Megan, Katie. The field is a little shorter. We're used to playing 120 by 80, maybe 120 by 85, depending on it. But today is 118 by 60. So the field dimension, coach kind of touched on space a little bit, but space is going to be limited. You're not going to have as much, especially with the way Coach Fabio plays. He plays that Brazilian style, fast movement, off the ball, making sure you're moving, finding spaces to connect. That's not going to be there today. It's a bandbox. What are your guys' thoughts? How is this going to change the way teams look at playing today? I mean, LSR kind of has a little bit of a home field advantage, but even they are going to find this difficult. Again, 118 by 60 is the dimensions of the pitch today.
Ooh. Yeah, that sounds brutal already. Just thinking about it, I'm like, ugh. But
get ready.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, like, I mean, we're so far into season. Like, yeah, it does make a difference, but we have really built our soccer fitness, so I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue, especially for like our starting 11. Like, they're such troopers, man. Like, they can run for days. But as far as, the compactness on the field, it's one of those things you just have to get in it and adjust to it. You also don't know what the other team's going to do. You don't know how they're going to adjust to the field. So kind of like he said, it's like you don't really know till you get in there and you experience it before you can really.
I think we lost
Just
Katie.
from my own general soccer knowledge, for me, and this is something that LSR does really well, is they stay very compact regardless of size of the field. And because they stay compact and because they move as a unit, they do really well both defensively and then transitioning into offense. That's how they are able, they contract, expand. So that's one of those things where it's just like it just depends on who you're playing, and it's like you want to maintain your game. But I think regardless of who you're playing, as long as you're moving as a unit, as long as you're connected, as long as you're creating space and plays, like, you can say, screw the other 10 yards that we're not using. Or you can say, hey, this is the one opportunity we have. Maybe I'm going to make the wider, longer run here and create that opportunity. But you also have to be smart in that. You can't do that every single time. And then, that's a whole nother thing. Like, you don't exactly want to play kickball either, and it's in Texas, man. It's hot, even in the evening. Like, warm up is hot. The first half of the game is hot, so that's, I always think are better than the first half because everyone's dying in the first half. But that's a really good point, though. It's always intimidating when the field is giant and when you step on the field, you're like, this doesn't feel the same as what we've been playing on. So it's going to be interesting.
Danny, what are your thoughts? Because I know Megan has a thought process on this, and I can see it already brewing. But Danny, what are your thoughts? And then we'll get into what Megan has.
Yeah, I'll go quick then. What's interesting is once you go to a smaller field, especially as far as width is concerned, speed is less important. Technical ability is less important. Physicality becomes crucial. And by small margins, but large enough margins to affect a match like this. So, I mean, you're looking at this thinking there's a different skill set that you've got to be able to pull out for this match. And to be honest, I think it benefits Side FC. I think they're a more physically minded team. I think they got a lot of speed, which again matters a little bit less, but up and down is going to help them a lot. I mean, tactically, and as a soccer purist, I guess, like, I don't love to see that kickball strategy that Katie was talking about, but we could see it. I think it's entirely possible. Not for 90 minutes because nobody can run for that long in Texas heat. But I did look it up. I did the research for the Kickoff Show. It's 3 hours and 11 minutes from Oklahoma City to R.L. Anderson Stadium. So that's actually even closer than the trek from San Antonio, I think, by a little bit. So a pretty even, equidistant location. Pull out an SAT word there. I mean, that's the thing. There's so many factors that really I feel like cancel out at the end of the day, and we're going to have a pretty even match. Two teams with different ideologies, honestly, in my opinion. Two teams with quality players on both sides, and Side FC likes to score goals. That's all they do. That's all they're going to want to do this evening as well. And I think it's going to be interesting because, Coach Fabio had an interesting response to the question I posed to him of like, is it like, are we focused on attack or defense today? And he's like, I mean, we're focused on, contextually figuring out what what the match looks like when we get there. And I think that's a smart way to go about a match like this, because you can't really predict how this is going to go. It's going to turn out one of 100 different ways, and it's about how you adjust on the fly. It's about how mentally you're able to keep that fortitude in that heat, in that moment, in that pressure. It's going to come down to those little things. It's going to come down to those fine margins.
Well, other thing, I'm going to add an hour to your trip, because Tulsa is an hour extra from.
Okay.
Yeah, they come. It's 4 hours 15 minutes to Dallas for Side FC. But Megan, Vanessa and Joanne, two very solid forwards for Side FC, are coming to town, and they are quick, and they are giddy to start looking at this field. They're chomping at the bit. Again, as Danny said, physical side, right? We're going to see a lot more yellows than we normally do, I bet. These games are going to be chippy. But what's your takeaway knowing that this field is smaller and you've got a team that just went out and scored 8 goals a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, when you put a team like Side FC on a smaller field, they're going to take shots from most everywhere. And then when you compare it to San Antonio, and I'm just talking based on what I've seen from these two teams. So for me, San Antonio, they make it so big. It's such beautiful soccer, and they're kind of, thinking that's not the field that we want to be doing that on. I have total confidence that, San Antonio in practice, they work on small-sided games. They do possession in small boxes. I'm sure they do their fair share of rondos. It's not that they've never played in a tighter space, but based on natural game style, it's going to suit Side FC a bit more, in my opinion. And we're going to see a lot of shots. I don't know whether it's Mia in goal today or if it's another goalkeeper, but they are going to be busy goalkeepers. When you take away that extra space on the field, from so many positions, people just fancy themselves to have a go. And then it's hard as well with the depth perception for goalkeepers. When things have changed, maybe they're not in the right normal position that they would find themselves in. So it's kind of a weird twist. I'm a little bit shook up as to why the field would change when, everybody's been playing on the normal standard size. And yeah, you can have different size fields, but that's a pretty big change compared to what these teams are used to. So I'm a little bit why? But hey, we love drama, we love close games, and we love things to be thrown into the mix, and that's what we get in the playoffs. So
totally.
Yeah, and this is no different, right? I mean, you're looking at, yes, you're 2 feet shorter or 2 yards shorter on
it's more the width that I'm thinking.
The width is what's going to be the difference. But if you have very direct play coming from either side of the spectrum, one team's going to be more likely to pull it out. And I lean a little bit, again, I lean towards Side FC. And so, yeah, last time they met, San Antonio outshot Side FC, but it's not about who outshot people. It's about who can put more in the net, right? At the end of the day, if you look at quality, yes, both teams have a quality side. It's just going to come down to who scores more. And especially in this atmosphere, you got playoff atmosphere, be a little bit of nerves, right? You just don't, you don't know. A lot of people have not been in this situation to where they're playing for, an opportunity to go national championship. So it'll be interesting to see. The other match is Austin Elite and the Lone Star Republic. This matchup is tasty. And the reason I say it's tasty is because I didn't know about the length of the field changing until this show. And so I'm actually interested to see, how does LSR adapt? They've been playing very well with counter-attacking football. Can that be go against them today, playing against a FC Austin Elite team that likes to press? That will be my question. And I'll start with Megan. Megan, what are your thoughts going into this match? You got a Danny Woodfill inspired club. He's chomping at the bit. He wants to make sure his team's ready to go. Satara Murray, she wants to play for a national championship. I can tell you that right now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is just such a great opportunity for FC Austin Elite. They've kind of slipped into that playoff spot, and they're going to be absolutely chomping at the bit, ready to go out and prove that we should have had this spot anyways, and we're going to go all the way. They're very good defensively, and being on a smaller field, they can make it a lot more compact. So things are playing into their hand. But for me, I don't doubt the Lone Star Republic girls. They have just been so strong all year. And, you know, they're going to find themselves with that smaller field. They're going to find themselves closer to goal too. And when they attack, like, chances are they're scoring. So I can't sit here and say that I think LSR will struggle based on the field size. I don't think the field size is going to even come into their minds. A lot of those girls are playing in small-sided cash tournaments. So they're used to small fields and they're able to do it. It was more of a question of how are they going to transfer into the 11 side way back at the start of the season? That's what we were asking them. And they said, don't worry, we can do it. So if we're going to ask them, hey, can you go back on a bit of a smaller field? They're going to say, don't worry, we can still do it. So I think it's going to be a really great matchup. Two brilliant, you know, stories that come into it with LSR being so dominant and FC Austin Elite, like getting this opportunity. And I think they're really going to want to prove something. So I'm really excited for this match.
Katie, your thoughts?
Yeah, so Austin is a really physical team. That's the one thing I remember about playing them, no doubt. But LSR, they just know soccer really well. They play really well as a team. Every single player is very strong on that team. They deserve to, I think, be someone to look out for. And so I will say that, you know, and then plus we're closer to home turf for LSR. So I definitely think LSR is going to take the win on this one, but I don't think it won't be without a fight from FC Austin. So it'll be something to watch. There's probably going to be some red cards, yellow cards, you know, coming out of the game because, you know, that's what people, you know, what you do when you're fighting to the very last end. You get emotionally and physically invested. And when it comes to the size of the field, I feel like at this level of soccer, and especially if you're playing in the playoffs of this league, that field size, you know, whether it's smaller or bigger, that like if you're playing at this level, you already know how to adjust to those situations.
It's 9:30.
Going to impact us. Oh no. We lost Megan. But anyways, I don't know that that's really going to impact either team. It might help a little bit with fitness, but yeah, I think it's still anybody's game. But you know, with the LSR and FC Austin matchup, I think LSR is going to take that one.
Danny, your thoughts?
Well, I saw it on the bottom of the screen from Soy San Antonio that they're thinking, yeah, there it is. And you stole my thunder a bit because that is my crazy man yelling from the sky moment of the day. I see Austin taking this. And Megan said a second ago that she's not going to sit there and say that LSR might struggle. I will sit here and say it. Yeah. I think Katie's behind me. I think this is
a fight. Yeah.
This is one of those moments where this is the absolute worst team in the nation to have to play as a 4 seed. I mean, SC Austin Elite are so experienced. They've got an ownership that cares. You talk about Danny Woodfill. That's a guy who knows what he's doing. He's got a really quality staff with him. This is a team that, as Katie mentioned, plays physically. They're smart as well, and I don't think they've gotten the credit they deserve. I really think this is a team that's out to prove something that hasn't been able to prove it up until now. That's disappointed a bit, but that has expectations still and the quality to meet those expectations. This is one of those games that could shock a lot of people if they're not prepared for it. I think Austin takes this one 2-1. They buckle down defensively. They get a couple of goals, and they make it hard on LSR on a smaller pitch. I think they take this game.
Ooh,
well, if they're going to do it, now's the time, right?
Exactly.
You know, show up, make it happen. And that's the thing. We can talk all day long. We can talk smack to each other, but none of that matters until you show up and you do it, you know? So it's going to be good either way.
I'm going to say this. Mimi and Kennedy are going to have a say in this match. You got Kennedy's got 12 goals on the year. Mimi's got 7. That's a lot of goals between two people. And they're both at the top of the assist rankings as well. They work well off of one another. I'm not gonna be the guy to the bearer of bad news, but this is not going to be one of those matches that it's going to be must see TV. Yes, it's going to be physical. Yes, it's going to be very direct. But in the end, I think just enough to get LSR over. The one matchup I will say that I am going to watch is that Athenians match, because unfortunately I think Side FC has the ability to create this. Am I going to call it an upset? Nope, because they played a tight matchup. Yes, I get that they were outshot 9-2 last time, but you also have to think about Joanne. Joanne's up on the top of the rankings too for goals. She's got 12. She's fast. She knows how to play off the ball. She knows movement patterns. Do not be surprised if this smaller
assists.
Yep, the smaller.
She's up there in assists too. So like, it's just like, yeah.
Yep, top 10 in assists in the league. She's tied for the Golden Boot right now. She could put herself ahead tonight. I would back her to do so. I think she scores a brace, and I think Athenian still takes it 3-2. This is somebody that I did some research on. She plays for Mid-America Christian University, and you'd be forgiven if you've never heard of that. It's a really small school out in Oklahoma, but she grew up in Uganda. So she's from Kampala, Uganda, the capital of that very small South African country. Played with a youth team over there and found her way to a couple of different D2 schools. She played at Redlands Community College, transferred to Southwest Oklahoma State. Now she's a rising senior at Mid-America Christian. She's been bagging goals, guys. I mean, it's just consistently every single year. She keeps putting goals in the back of the net at the college level. And what I love about this story is this is why UWS is here, right? This is why we can have this conversation about semifinals, and it matters to the clubs. It matters on the bigger level, but on the personal level. This is a player, when you look at Joanne, that's going to have so much more of a platform to be able to continue her career because the UWS exists. I guarantee you there was no other way for a Ugandan playing in Oklahoma to have an opportunity at the top level in the United States, because it's just our system's not set up that way. And UWS is one of the leagues that's changing that. And it's so cool to watch that. So no matter what happens tonight, no matter who scores, no matter who wins, it's a win-win situation for the players of this league. And Joanne is a really good picture of that. What a story. What a journey she's had to get here. I think she's going out on a high, even if they do go out tonight, but it's going to be a fantastic game.
So that leads us. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Again.
Oh, I was just going to say she's definitely stellar. She's definitely somebody to watch, but don't wish too much of that evil on me, Ricky Bobby, because I don't want you predicting scores against us now.
Yeah, I still got to get you back
take it down a notch. Okay, I'm just kidding. No. Anyway,
the final of the Southwest Conference takes place tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time at Anderson Stadium. So we'll see. It will be interesting. But listen, got a few more minutes here of the show before we let everybody get ready for Soccer Saturday, Summer of Soccer here in the UWS. I kind of want to hear your guys' predictions, or not even predictions. I want to hear who your player of the year was. And so, Megan, we're going to start with you for player of the year in the UWS.
Yeah, now this is so hard. Like, there's been so many quality players. You know, when we look at Team of the Week that comes out each week, every single one of those players are absolutely earned their right and should be in the talks for player of the year. UWS produces such high quality players that deserve the opportunity to continue to play and go to the next level even. But for me, you know, I'm sticking with the Lone Star hype, and it's Kennedy Kessler, 12 goals, 5 assists. You put her on the field and you know you're going to get results. I just, you know, when somebody can score goals and create them, and even if she doesn't directly get an assist, more often than not, when Lone Star scores, she's involved. And when you have a player that is just so influential like that, it's going to catch attention and it's going to get people talking. So Kennedy Kessler, for me, player of the year.
Danny?
I actually agree. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Katie. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually agree with that. And that's hard for me to say because there are rivals, you know. I'm like, I want to pick someone on my team. But really and truly, she's like, her performance speaks for itself. She's a great player. And, you know, she's one of those people who, when you're on the field with somebody like that, you have to make sure that you're still playing your game because you're so aware that, oh, there's this person on the field. They're really good at this. I know they're going to do that, but hey, you know what? I still gotta, you know, keep my cool and make sure I'm playing my game. But, you know, she's just one of those people who mixes things up. And that's why she is involved in those high scoring games. That's why she's always, like you said, Megan, involved in a goal or an assist or something. So, yeah, agreed.
Danny?
I mean, I've already mentioned her, but for me, it's Joanne. I mean, she is a goal scorer on a team that's full of goal scorers. When you can score, however many goals, 7, 8, 10 goals on a team where you are the primary source of goals and no other goals are coming from anybody but you as kind of that target forward, that's impressive. I don't want to take away from that. But on a team like Side FC, where that's all they do, where I mean, you've really in all reality, you've got 5, 6 attackers on the field. There's midfielders whose primary role is to get in the attack and score goals. She's still tied for the goal scoring lead. And I mean, you look at the assist numbers, and I mean, she's not even providing a lot of the assists. They're coming from other players. There's so many attackers who are very capable on this Side FC team. And for Joanne to be at the top of not only the team, but also the league in an environment like that, that proves to me that she's a natural born goal scorer, and that she deserves to be at the top of this list. And I think she's fallen under a lot of radars, including my own, up until this week. So I think she's a deserved Player of the Year candidate, and one that's that really should be more of a household name.
Man, you guys just keep them coming. So I'm actually I'm sticking on the LSR wagon, but mine's Bronwyn Boswell. 13 points, 7 goals, 6 assists, leader, probably vice captain, not 100% sure. I know Jackie's the captain there, but just an overall asset to that team. You take her out of the equation or you find a way to minimize her contributions. She's constantly finding space. Went back and watched a few matches. Her positioning, her ability to find space or to find areas to kind of hold and possess to distribute, she's going to be one to watch and one to watch in the future. We talk about that all the time, but she's definitely one of those players who today it's her day to shine. And I think she can come out, she can contribute a few assists, maybe a goal or two, and really solidify her as the Player of the Year in the UWS. Kind of under the radar, but the maestro of the way LSR is going to play, especially today going into that matchup against FC Austin Elite. So anyway, that's my thought. Save of the week for week 10. We have an Athenian actually in the top. Here we go. Save of the week brought to you by Mia Wilderman in her save this past week. Little curler, little tip over was the save of the week. Did not get a whole lot from everybody else, but long range effort that she's able to tip over the top. I think this is always one of those plays that are difficult looking. Either you're looking up, right? So ball gets cleared out of the box, bouncing around. Player takes a touch, and she just knocks it over. So if you guys have a match or goal or save of the week, please make sure you guys send that in. We would appreciate it. We'll get into the graphics department, have them take a look at it. Graphics department brought to you by John and Megan. So we'll make sure we get that taken care of. But what are your guys' thoughts on this save from Mia?
I mean, you look at it, and I think people don't give this type of save enough credit. I'm not a goalkeeper. I can't do that. And I think most people who aren't goalkeepers don't realize that they also can't do that. That's a really tough save to find yourself almost falling back and moving to your right at the same time. The athleticism that you have to make that save, but also the wherewithal. I think we've seen a lot of these goals on an international level. We saw it at the Euros, a goal from midfield from Patrick Schick from Czech Republic. And we've seen goals where keepers get caught out in this situation and they're always blamed in that moment, but they're never praised for saves like this, where they do make it back on that long range effort that, is just kind of a hidden hope that almost finds its way in. This is a save that not only saves embarrassment, but really that deserves a lot of credit. So I'm glad that it's save of the week this week.
Agreed. I mean, you can see that, right as the ball is leaving this girl's foot from outside the 18, Mia's already reading it. And I think that's why we love her so much, is because she just reads the field really well. She is proactive in her movements. And yeah, she's really tall and she's really athletic. So not everybody can get into that upper 90 behind them. So, I think, we're lucky to have her on our team. She's definitely become an asset for us. She's definitely a huge part of the reason why we are where we are today. You know, she helps us with those shutouts. She helps us to keep scores down. She helps us to keep the confidence up, you know, by not letting those goals in against. So she's definitely been an integral part of the team.
Well, it's going to take a shutout today to get you guys to move on to tomorrow. Megan, your thoughts on this save?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely caught my eye. It was a really important save that she kind of needed to make, and it just shows the real athleticism that she has as a goalkeeper, the agility to get across. She was on the other side of the goal, and then as this shot was taken, you can see her transition to the other side. Great leap, strong hands. You know, this is everything that you want your goalkeeper to do, and that's why it's worthy of save of the week. So, really great save.
Well, there's that. Now we got goal of the week. Megan and her goals of the week. Let's go ahead and get these up. Turn this music off, though. There we go. All right. So there we go. First goal is from Boychuk from Calgary Foothills. Can't really see that one here. Goals coming from the Foothills Impact match. Yeah, that one was the.
That was fire.
Here's Kennedy Kessler, as everybody has been talking about.
Nasty.
Yeah, she turns on a dime and she has some power.
And then Melanie Kuna.
Okay.
That's a really underrated goal for Melanie too. That ability to just dink that over, to have that amount of control from that distance. You're so excited and you're just like, oh, I gotta hit it, you know, and it's long range and it's so easy to sky that over the bar, or as I would do, completely whiff at it. But it's a really good finish from here. A really nice moment of skill. But I mean, I have to say, honestly, this first goal, because of the pass, and I don't think the assister from the right side here is who's getting the credit, although that's a really good first time finish. I don't want to take anything away from Kaylee.
I had that the other night in indoor, and that's why my MCL is all tore up.
Oh no!
Caught in the turf. I got caught in the turf, and now I'm suffering the consequences with a torn MCL. But hey,
no, but really, my play of this video is that service from the right side. It's inch perfect. It's really well played in, and it's played in early. The intelligence and the precision to pass that in. I don't know who that is on the right side, but whoever it is, hope they're watching and get the credit they deserve, because it's a great ball in and gives Kaylee that opportunity to knock it home and really put a finishing touch on it.
Well, let's talk about the run first off. I mean, she started from about the 25-yard line for football, and just about a 30-yard go at it, and is able to connect. Not even worried about it. The defender is right there too, until the defender decided to lose their mark. But that's a different story. But I think the service itself, Megan, give me your insight. What do we got? Is this quality, or is this just
honestly, I love this. And you know, sometimes goal of the week it's nominated because somebody has produced something really magical and really special. And this is kind of a different kind of goal of the week, where it's the whole goal. It needs to be looked at. Like, the assist is playing such a crucial part, and this wouldn't be a goal without the incredible ball and the incredible run and the incredible composed finish. And so it's a complete goal, which is what I love. And like, I feel like this week's goal of the week nominations, they're all very unique and very different kind of goals, which is separate, but I love that too. But yeah, and a volley, I love a volley. Like, I'm always like, yeah, because this is so easy to get so overexcited and to just smash it over, or to completely get way too excited and lose focus of the ball and actually just like kick the air, which is really embarrassing. So instead of doing those two things, she created a goal of the week. I mean, that's awesome.
Katie, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is looking like professional level soccer to me. I mean, this looks like something you might see on an MLS recap or NWSL recap, you know, and I can bet you that the development of that entire play, even before you see this cross takeoff, I'm going to bet that was pretty quality as well, you know, and that's the part that I love about soccer is I just want to see what happened before that girl, you know, took her cross. What were they doing? And you know, it's an entire team thing. And like you said, I would agree that this really rises above a lot of the other goals, because it's not just this one individual thing. It's this beautiful cross, this beautiful, solid, powerful finish, which is hard to do on a volley. So yeah, that's
at least 35-yard cross, at least 35-yard cross to get across.
And how fast do you have to be? Like you said, John, she came out like 20 yards, to make that happen. She was totally on side. That's a hard thing to do. And even as a defender, that's a hard thing to mark as well. So, she lost her mark, but that's a hard one to read because you just don't know sometimes where the ball's going to go.
So Kaylee gets first nomination. Aaron Vondalder. This is look, Troy practiced this. I know he did. He told him to do it. Down 1-0, and you're just coming across from the top of the 18, left foot, just absolute.
That's so cheeky. Like I'm like, honestly, I've done this before at practice too. Like where you just see that the goalkeeper, like you can just dink it over, and it's so satisfying. Like you must have looked up and just thought, like, yeah, this is me. You don't need to put much power behind it. It's all about the way that you connect with the ball. It's just so cheeky. I love it. Like, yeah, that is solid. And you see the team, they're all arms raised, like they're so happy. And it's a really important goal to level the game up. Like, love it.
Imagine if the keeper had saved that. That's the save of the year.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that would have been a save of the year.
Yep. Danny, what do you think?
It's a good goal. Not much else to say there. That's a great finish. It's in the upper 90. I can't give it enough credit.
Yeah, and on a one-touch shot, I was trying to see if she looked up to take a look and if it was really meticulously planned, their upper 90, or was it like hey, I know the goal's here. I know if I hit it with power on this one touch, I'm putting it in the ballpark, But I mean, either way, you can't knock the quality of that goal. Like, that's a good goal.
All right, then the next goal, Lone Star Republic. Your guys I should say Katie and Megan's player of the year in UWS, Kennedy Kessler, with just a little cheeky little Cruyff whoop.
Back cut.
And I'd say it's spectacular finish, but it's finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is a spectacular finish because you can see the goalkeeper really, really tried, but it's just unsavable. Like, that is so snuck in. The goalkeeper fully has tried everything, like, that they have to keep that out of the back of the net, but there's no stopping the power. The connection that she has, like that's one of those shots where, like, after you're like, yeah, that felt really nice. Like, you connected with that shot how you intended. And to have the balance to be able to do that after, like, driving one way, cutting it back, like, under pressure, that's a high-quality goal.
Yeah. And she didn't waste any time. It was a touch and boom. There wasn't a lot of time to react or even defend, even as a supporting defender. Yeah, she beat the one, but even the supporting defender, I don't think had a moment to recognize, hey, I need to be here or do this. And that just isn't speaks to her talent and her ability.
Yeah, we will see. Danny, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really well taken finish, and obviously the work before that to get into that space is really good. And then it's a really well hit shot and powerfully hit shot because she beats her at the near post. I mean, she sees that the whole way. There's no defender in front of her. She knows exactly where it's coming as it goes off her boot, and it's right in front of her. Like, that's, I mean, honestly, if I'm the attacker, I'm trying to put it in the other corner because there's a lot more space there, but she just puts it in the near post because she knows no goalkeeper's getting there. No reflexes are that strong to save that. That's a great finish. And obviously she's really deserving of that goal and all 11 of the other ones she scored.
Yeah.
And then our last goal of the week, Melanie from Copa. Just a little chip. Keeper came out off their line. Got to have those every once in a while, right? Cheeky little chip.
Yeah, super intelligent play. There's so many times where players, they have to go at the goalkeeper and create a 1v1 situation, and you're saving your legs by just chipping it over it and getting a nice, easy finish. But when I say easy, it's obviously not easy because so many players will put this wide, will put this over, will try and chip it, and goalkeeper just reaches up and catches it. So it's a high-quality finish from that, and I love the kind of improvisation and the cheekiness to be able to do that.
Katie?
there's really not much to add to that. I think both you and Danny really hit on it, like the ability to think that way in that position with pressure on your back. It's well done.
Well, we've got one more week until the road to Round Rock when people head to Austin, hopefully to see the national championship that will take place next Sunday. What are your guys' storylines? What are your thoughts heading into this this last full week of soccer for UWS before we go to national championship? Danny, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty obvious. It's who wins this tournament. You know, it's we're down to one storyline, right? There's only one that matters. So go out and and support everybody and go see who takes us home, man.
Megan?
Yeah, one storyline really. Who's going to be able to pull it off when it counts? You know, I think we're out of the kind of, oh, this was an underdog win, this was a big shot, because no, every single team that is in the position that they're in right now, they have earned the right to be there. They have proved themselves, whether it's, with big results where they've absolutely dominated games, or whether it's grinding out results. Everybody deserves to be where they are, and I'm just so excited to see everybody be able to perform on that big stage. You know, the whole country is getting excited about Summer of Soccer. The whole world even, my family back in England, like everybody's watching it. So it's such a great opportunity for every player that's got the opportunity to play in it, enjoy it, and get behind the girls and support on social media, all that kind of stuff, because it means so much to these players.
Katie, what are your thoughts? I know you got a game today, so you don't want to give up too much. What are your thoughts heading into this last weekend?
Well, I'm interested to see how people play under pressure, knowing that so much is on the line. People play a little bit differently in the regular season because, you have to remember that we all have lives. We're still having to work full-time, most of us, full-time or part-time, and then play in the evenings. That's really taxing for us. That's mentally and physically taxing for some of us. So whenever you get to the situation of where you're in playoffs, I think it's interesting because, you start to prioritize things a little differently. Oh man, we got a chance, So I'm just interested to see that when you're really playing for, could be your last game. So what do you do in that situation? I just want to see what character shows up in these teams. I want to see the composure that exists or maybe gets lost, because that happens under pressure. So but yeah, no, it's a lot to be excited about. And either way, like Megan said, if you're here and you're in the arena and you're competing, you definitely deserve to be here. And either way, you should give yourself a little pat on the back.
Well, summer soccer is not over. Next week, we will be live from Austin, Texas, from Round Rock, as we guys get you ready for the championship matchup on Sunday, July 25th. But we will also be bringing you coverage all week long, starting Thursday from Austin, with interviews, some insight, analysis, as we get you guys ready for that national championship match. Should be a fun one. And I really appreciate you guys giving up every weekend to join me and talk a little bit of soccer. It's been a pleasure. And then we got one more show. All right. Well, Megan, Danny, Katie, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who watched today for the Kickoff Show, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. We appreciate everything you guys do for our sport. And without any more gabbling on my end, have a great weekend, everybody. Good luck.
Bye.